Well, let's talk now to Kwaku Nuamah, who's Senior Lecturer and Chair for the International Peace and Conflict Resolution Programme with the American University. He joins us from Washington. Kwaku, welcome. Sudan's army has expressed willingness to extend the ceasefire for a further 72 hours. Can we take that at face value? Would it be reciprocated, do you think?
Well, thanks for having me. I think it's a question of whether General Hameti thinks that this ceasefire helps him. You realize that the ceasefire that was negotiated by the Americans mostly held, but there were still some attacks. And I think that as the government gains the upper hand, it is more likely to entertain some type of negotiation to secure a deal that helps it. For Hameti, he's trying to see if he can get situations on the ground to favor him before he agrees to a ceasefire. So we are hopeful. We hope that the IGAD leaders who are pushing can get him to commit so we can have some relief on the ground for the people.
Look, while we count down the hours to the end of the current ceasefire, let's start counting the days and the weeks and look ahead slightly more medium term. In your judgment, what's going to happen next for Sudan?
Well, I think that the government has committed itself publicly to at least agreeing to an extension of the ceasefire. The danger is that if the government gets to a point where it thinks that it can win outright, it may not be interested in a ceasefire anymore. I think the African leaders are going to keep pushing both sides to come to the table. I don't see an agreement today, but maybe by tomorrow, depending on the structural conditions, you may see more pressure coming from other parties who have an interest in that conflict, including the United States and Egypt, and even the Saudis may get involved pushing the IGAD proposal, and that might do the job.
I don't know if you managed to hear our correspondent on the border of Sudan with Egypt, with the buses lined up. I mean, it's clear the fighting between the two groups is having a knock-on effect in the region. Of course it would. We know violence is flaring up again in Darfur. I mean, this obviously will spiral, won't it, with much more profound, wider consequences.
As we expect it to. The region is turbulent. You have Sudan's 7 neighbors all have some problems with security, with internal problems, and you're going to see refugees flooding into these places. This is why we need a regional approach to this problem. This is something that can spiral quickly into a regional war. We've already seen a lot of stress on neighboring states like Chad. Central African Republic is very fragile. South Sudan itself is very fragile. Then you have Libya, of course. And so hopefully we can all get a deal. Parties can realize that there is no military solution to this problem, at least in the short term, so that you can have some kind of arrangement that allows humanitarian agencies to move back in. And also there needs to be support for the countries that are receiving displaced persons so that when they go to these places, they don't add to the stress in the host countries.
Kwaku, come back and talk to us again soon. For the moment, thank you very much for being on the program. Kwaku Nuamah from the American University in Washington.